Welcome to PJ's Kitchen. My name is Peter James from the website peterjamesx.com, and I'm bringing you the Babylon Report. This evening we are looking at the subject of relationships. This morning when I looked out of my window from the dining room into the garden, there were two squirrels frolicking about. It wasn't that cold, but they were there enjoying themselves, playing with each other, racing up the trees and so on. I wish the same thing can be said about the people that I know. The Bible says in Matthew 19:6, "Wherefore there are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder." And 1 Corinthians 6:16 says, "What? Know ye not that he which is joined to an harlot is one body? For two, saith he, shall be one flesh." Now when we actually look at the Old Testament, there are so many regulations that deal with relationships, that tell us what relationships are acceptable and what are not. And in Deuteronomy 22 you will find those detailed. It mentions there in Deuteronomy 22:28, "If a man find a damsel, a virgin, which is not betrothed, and lay hold on her, and lie with her, and they be found," verse 29, Deuteronomy 22, "then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, because he hath humbled her. He may not put her away all his days." Get it? It's telling us there, it's from bed to wed. You sleep with a person, you marry the person. And that is effectively what we're dealing with now. Because this week I've had several conversations dealing with awful relationships. Awful. Not just one, several. People wanting to kill themselves. They just don't know what to do. I go up the road and I see these young couples there, teenagers in their 20s, and they're all lovey-dovey, holding hands, smiling, and I said, let's fast forward this 10 years, and will we see you here happy and smiling? Will you even be together? You see, we are told that there's something much more fleeting than a sex act that makes two people one. It is not just during the act of intimacy that they become one. According to the verse we just read, 1 Corinthians 6:16, it says, "If you sleep with a harlot, you become one flesh." This means that there is utter confusion when you have multiple partners. As the person sleeps around and becomes one flesh with whom they sleep, you can begin to grasp the size and complexity of the problem. Some people refer to these as soul ties. This might have happened while people were in their youth, but that doesn't change it. The ties are still there. The fact that you now have changed and are living an acceptable life or an acceptable lifestyle, it doesn't do away with the past. The fact that you might now become married, it doesn't do away with the past. I believe there's so much more going on here in this matter of sleeping together. There seems to be some kind of a link between the human spirits. And I believe that problems can be passed from one to the other. I've seen it. Even without people, I've said it before. I do all my own cooking, and if I'm not feeling well, my cooking doesn't turn out as well as when I'm feeling well. And I know there's some people who say, "How are you?" "Oh, well, my wife isn't too good today." You didn't ask them how their wife was. But the point is, there's nothing wrong in them saying that. I'm just showing you how closely knit two people can be together. And that is by people who know. But it's the same even if you don't know. There's a big hoo-ha at the moment about prostitution. Well, I mean, if you take the principle of what I'm saying into account, you can see we have a serious problem. Serious, serious problem. So, you know, the more partners you have, the more like a spider's web it becomes. It's complex and confused. You know, the problems cannot even be identified. And sometimes they might only surface many, many years later. So the person you think you are marrying is not the person you are actually marrying. And often you see two people all nicely groomed and all their friends and all the rest of it, but you're not actually seeing all the associated relationships for both parties. So instead of two people, as I said to someone last night, you've got the bride with her 6 relationships and the bridegroom with his 6 relationships. So how many people in that union? Well, that's 14 straight away. So we do not start off on a good foot. The implications are so enormous. This links relationships. You know, and if one partner carries out deeds which carries out curses, generational curses that are coming down the family line. For example, if you had Freemason connections, Mormons, Scientologists, Jehovah's Witnesses, you can see now the problem is getting even greater. And the happy couple wouldn't have a clue about it, because we're living in a big society, in a small island like I'm from. You know, everybody knows everybody else, sort of, if you know what I mean. But here, little Miss Pretty and Mr. Handsome, nobody knows anything about him. The following verse shows a generational curse in operation. This is real. It's not a figment of the imagination. So, you know, we have sickness coming down the line as a generational curse. And you two of you have got together and you don't realize that the person that you are so in love with has a generational curse in their bloodline. Exodus 25, thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. This is talking about, you know, honoring and worshipping God alone, and loving God alone. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the 3rd and 4th generation of them that hate me. If you're going against what God says to do, you hate him.